Human civilization built a strict global food rule. We surrounded our tables with billions of identical feathered units. You consume this specific resource daily without any critical analysis. It is the industrial ghost inside every fast food kitchen. The corporate design successfully hides the real living animal from you. But try to order a wild crow in any modern city. Or find a single restaurant serving migratory seagulls. Biologically, every flying creature is just a combination of protein. They share the same muscle tissue, bone matrix, and wings. Yet, one bird type became the ultimate fuel for humanity, while the other became a genetic taboo for our culture. This division was decided long before culinary preferences appeared. The real secret lies in the bird's internal fuel input. A chicken functions strictly as a high-speed calorie refiner. Feed it basic grain, plant seeds, or simple ground insects. It immediately converts cheap plant mass into clean muscle. This biological engine operates at an accelerated, predictable pace. It allows humans to manufacture food in predictable, massive volumes. This animal does not possess the dangerous instinct to hunt. It requires zero predatory actions to build its own mass. Turkeys and ducks operate under this exact economic formula. They easily submitted to the laws of human agriculture. They volunteered to live directly inside our ancient settlements. They utilized our agricultural spillage and grain waste perfectly. Their entire reproduction cycle was surrendered to human control. Corvid family intelligence broke a completely different path. A wild city crow is not a regular bird wearing black feathers. It is a highly analytical, suspicious, and aggressive survivor. It actively decodes human security systems to find resources. It easily slices through heavy plastic sanitation barriers. It harvests organic matter from road casualties without distress. It utilizes urban waste, small rodents, and unguarded nests. This high-speed problem-solving makes the species brilliant. It also makes them a toxic biological error for agriculture. Any animal tissue is a permanent chemical diary of its life. Controlled farm grain guarantees an absolute sanitary standard. The daily intake of an urban crow is a total chemical gamble. It processes decaying organic material from dark alleyways. It ingests degraded microplastics and industrial debris daily. It hunts insects saturated with urban chemical pesticides. It harvests fluids leaking from commercial restaurant waste containers. Coastal seagulls live under the exact same biological threat. Romance films portray them as pristine white ocean spirits. Reality classifies urban gulls as aggressive landfill raiders. They prefer high-calorie city dumpsters over hunting wild fish. They swallow heavy synthetic polymers and domestic organic waste. They physically wrench food away from human hands. This chaotic lifestyle permanently corrupts their biological purity. We avoid wild scavengers due to deep evolutionary psychology. Human intuition demands to know the history of the mate. A seed-eating bird instantly registers as a safe energy asset. A garbage-eating bird feels like the dumpster entering your body. Now calculate the harsh mathematics of the food chain. Every dynamic step upward decreases the efficiency of the asset. Agricultural birds remain at the absolute base of the pyramid. Hawks, eagles, and falcons occupy the dangerous apex level. They require the destruction of other living tissues to exist. This behavior makes them an economic catastrophe for farming. You cannot organize mass production for individualistic hunters. Apex predators bioaccumulate the toxins of the entire ecosystem. Heavy metals, industrial mercury, and persistent organic poisons. Environmental chemicals concentrate instead of breaking down during digestion. The magnification increases exponentially with every predatory level. A single-field insect carries an invisible chemical grain. A minor rodent consumes thousands of contaminated insects. A predatory bird harvests hundreds of those poisoned rodents. The apex consumer becomes a hazardous waste warehouse. Therefore, human survival chose the vegetarian bird group. We selected consumers of renewable seeds, grain, and grasses. We isolated our species from consumers of decay and biological waste. Even if we bypass chemistry, commercial capitalism destroys the idea. Predatory psychology rejects the core concepts of industrial business. A hawk will never tolerate a crowded enclosure to eat corn. An eagle will never live peacefully in a flock of 10,000 units. A captured crow spends its entire focus mapping internal escapes. Wild logic dictates a predator must spend energy to capture energy. An eagle will never calmly wait for an industrial feed distribution. It demands high-speed movement, space, and a territory to rule. Crows, when isolated in structures, begin active sabotage. They decode mechanical latches, remember faces, and plan escapes. True domestication requires an asset that naturally accepts boundaries. The biological architecture must lean toward collective containment. Then, ancient human culture turned these rules into global law. Societies across the globe developed identical eating taboos. They banned creatures with massive talons and flesh-tearing beaks. These animals were visually integrated into the domain of death. High-altitude eagles became the brand symbols of aggressive empires. Midnight ravens transformed into omens of battlefield destruction. Silent owls became the guards of night and hidden secrets. You do not traditionally slice an omen of war into a lunch sandwich. So, the cultural border became completely solid. Consume the grain processing asset. Avoid the active hunter. Utilize the bird that lives directly beside your stable home. Avoid the dynamic scavenger that orbits the military zone. This structural system was never entirely absolute. Humans have historically processed strange birds during systemic starvation. Famine, extreme climate events, and remote island survival broke the rules. Isolated tribes processed gull eggs and whatever flew past. Extreme biological hunger deletes cultural definitions instantly. But crisis survival is completely separate from standard cuisine. The birds that became institutional food solved a specific mathematical problem. They were energy efficient, easily crowded, predictable, and chemically clean. The rejected species carried the exact opposite operational code. Too chaotic to control, too chemically hazardous to trust. That is the physics behind the modern dinner plate layout. This is why the industrial chicken became the ultimate mass product. And why the city crow became a biological red flag. On paper, both systems are classified under the same bird category. Both systems contain muscle tissue, fat, and standard bones. But their lifestyle, intake, and evolution built two different realities. One is a safe, high-speed protein refinery for your body. The other is a flying toxic waste container of the urban world. Let's look closer at the energy efficiency math. To grow 1 pound of agricultural bird requires 2 pounds of grain. That is a highly favorable trade for human civilizations. To grow 1 pound of a hawk requires 10 pounds of fresh meat. You would have to farm thousands of mice just to feed the birds. The energy conversion becomes a total financial disaster. No society can afford to waste resources on secondary consumers. Therefore, the market mechanically deleted predators from agriculture. Now look at the behavior matrix of the crowded environment. A chicken possesses a very low, easily managed stress response. It survives in close proximity to thousands of identical units. Wild birds possess an emergency adrenaline trigger. Constant confinement inside a building completely destroys their health. A stressed wild bird stops reproducing entirely. Its immune system breaks down, creating a hazardous viral zone. This makes wild birds a literal biological bomb for a farm. Furthermore, look at the physical mechanics of processing. A chicken has a large, fleshy breast structure optimized for meat. Centuries of selective breeding maximize the valuable tissue. A crow or a hawk consists mostly of dense, tough tendons. They are built for long-distance flight and fast maneuvers. Their muscle tissue is extremely lean, hard, and stringy. It requires hours of boiling just to break down the fibers. The culinary result is a bitter, metallic, unpalatable product. It tastes intensely of the wild, unmonitored diet. The market demands soft, predictable, neutral-tasting protein. Chicken became a blank canvas for global flavors. It easily absorbs spices, sauces, and industrial coatings. Scavenger meat completely rejects any culinary modification. The internal chemical odors cannot be masked by seasoning. This created a secondary commercial wall against the wild species. It failed the flavor test, the economic test, and the safety test. Today, industrial agriculture operates with total mathematical precision. Genetic lines are tracked on high-speed computer networks. Automatic environmental controls manage airflow, water, and food. Every single variable is locked down to eliminate external risks. You can never achieve this level of control with a wild population. The boundary between the farm and the wild is a rule of survival.